Build professional skills this semester with Adobe Creative Cloud and create standout work both in and out of the classroom. Save big on professional creativity tools. Students get 65% off Adobe Creative Cloud, including Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, Acrobat Pro, and 20+ creative apps. No matter what project you're working on, Adobe Creative Cloud apps can help you take it to the next level. Visit adobe.com/student to learn more.
It's The Other Side of Midnight with Frank Morano.
Well, it's World Series Day. First day of the Yankees and Dodgers. And as we pointed out earlier, these two teams have quite a history. These two teams have met in the World Series more than any two teams in history. So it struck me as a good opportunity to talk with someone that maybe wrote a book about the Yankees or maybe wrote a book about the Dodgers. So we have found someone that has written about both the Dodgers and the Yankees. He is also a terrific historian, not just about baseball, but about the kind of the nexus of baseball and pop culture, a subject that has always fascinated me, and he's always been great whenever he's been on this show. David Krell, journalist, author, and commentator, whose books include Our Bums, The Brooklyn Dodgers in History, Memory, and Popular Culture. David, it's great to talk with you. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Frank.
David, there's a lot of people listening who may not follow baseball. On the one hand, I understand how silly it may seem for grown men to get excited about watching a bunch of strangers play a game where they try to bat a ball and then run around. But that really disappears as soon as you get into the spirit and the magic of a baseball game. Explain to folks that may not be baseball fans what it is about baseball that makes it so special and has left it with such an enduring place in American history.
Well, I think that baseball can be played anywhere. You can play it in the street, stickball in the city, wiffle ball in the backyard. You can get some friends together and play an improvised game at a local ball field. A lot of kids grew up playing Little League. Of course, it's played at the professional level or the semi-pro level on a regular ball field. So it can be played anywhere. And for a long time, it was the national pastime. Football and basketball hadn't made inroads with television. And when you have people like Babe Ruth in the 20s or Mickey Mantle in the 50s, Jackie Robinson, they really captured the spirit of America during those times. They captured the spirit of American progress. And look, you can go to a baseball game, take it in. It's a very pastoral type of endeavor. It's very casual. A lot of people don't say, hey, let's go take in a football game or let's go take in a basketball game or a hockey game. And those are wonderful sports. But baseball has a more relaxed atmosphere, and that appeals to a lot of people just looking for an afternoon out or a night out.
At 30 minutes after the hour, this is The Other Side of Midnight. The interesting thing about baseball and listening to what you just said, talking about television, is when I listen to a baseball game on the radio, I enjoy it just as much, if not more so, as when I'm watching a game on television. That is not the case when it comes to football or basketball for me. And I've seen some speculation that maybe baseball is a better game for radio than other sports are. I'm wondering your view on that, since you've chronicled popular culture going back, literally decades. Has the decline of radio as a primary mode of information and entertainment for a lot of people led in part to a decline in baseball?
Gosh, that's a great question. I'm not sure of the answer to that, but I'll tell you that in baseball, it's played in the spring and summer, and a little bit in the fall. So what are you doing in the spring, summer, and fall? You're outdoors. You're driving on road trips. You're out at the beach. You're in the backyard with a barbecue. And baseball just provides kind of a soundtrack for these other sports that largely take place in the late fall or the winter. You're not really going outside. You're not going on road trips, nothing like that. So I think that's a big part of the appeal. Now, radio, as you know, you have threats like podcasts. People listen to recordings. They listen to clips on different radio stations. I know you put clips on your website. So there's a lot of that. It's not just radio, it's television too. Television ratings have suffered as well because people have different packages. And, with the NFL, you can get some kind of package where you only see plays that take place within the 20-yard line or the 10-yard line. So there's a lot of that fragmentation going around. I don't think it's just radio and baseball.
It makes sense. And by the way, if people want to check out any of David's books, they can go to David's website, davidkrell.com, Krell.com. All right, Yankees and Dodgers, they're kicking things off tonight. Give us some historical perspective. How many times have these two teams met?
I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times.
Wow. I mean, that's substantial. What was their first World Series meeting?
1941, by my count, the Yankees won 4-1, and that's a very significant World Series because Mickey Owen dropped a third strike pitched by Q Casey. Ninth inning, Game 4, Dodgers led 4-3 with 2 outs, nobody on base. The batter has a full count, gets to first base after the ball goes to the backstop. The Yankees rally to win 7-4. So a lot of people talk about Ralph Branca and Bobby Thompson with the 1951 Giants-Dodgers playoff and how Ralph Branca became the GOAT of that series. Not greatest of all time, but the person who flubbed. Mickey Owen had that title way before because of that dropped third strike.
Interesting. By the way, talk a little bit about the Brooklyn Dodgers, if you can. I know a lot of people in our audience probably remember the Brooklyn Dodgers when they were a team. You've written about the Brooklyn Dodgers. They've got this place in history as these lovable bums. How did they get that reputation? Why were they so beloved, even though it seemed like for a long time the championship eluded them? And what can you tell us about the Brooklyn Dodgers and their place in history?
Well, way before they were great, they were not so great in the 20s and 30s. And there's an apocryphal story where a guy is walking outside and cab driver's listening to the radio, and he says to the guy in the street, "Hey, the Dodgers have 3 men on base." And the guy says, "Which base?" Because they were just not a great team, and people in the stands, in that Brooklynese way of speaking, would say, "Them bums, those bums, they don't know what they're doing." But only a Brooklynite could call the Dodgers bums. Nobody else could call them bums. That all changed, in the late 40s and the 50s with Jackie Robinson and Pee Wee Reese and getting to the NL pennant and getting to the World Series all those years. So when they were called bums, it was more of an affection. There was an affection about it when they were winning.
If you're just tuning in, I'm Frank Morano. This is The Other Side of Midnight. My guest is David Krell. Would you say that the rivalry between the Dodgers and Yankees was more fierce than the rivalry between the Dodgers and New York Giants?
Gosh, I don't think so, because based on people that I talk to at the Society for American Baseball Research conferences, based on Giants fans that I know who remember Willie Mays at the Polo Grounds, they go back that far, Frank, and the Giants-Dodgers rivalry in those days was definitely heated. Now, don't forget, back then, you had 154 games. You didn't have this extended playoff schedule. You only had 16 teams, 8 in each league. That means that you played every other team 22 times. So you knew the other lineup as well as you knew your own lineup, and there was a chance for you to develop that knowledge and develop that rivalry feeling when you're supporting your team. Nowadays, when you have 30 teams, maybe we'll get 2 more if the leagues expand. It's very difficult to keep track and foster those rivalries, but talk to Dodgers and Giants fans today, and I think they still have that same enmity.
You know, it's funny, the thing that you pointed out about Pee Wee Reese and Jackie Robinson and fellas like Roy Campanella and Don Drysdale and Don Newcomb being on the Brooklyn Dodgers, you knew that they were Dodgers this year. They were going to be Dodgers next year. They were going to be Dodgers the year after that. This year, I'm a Met fan. We're talking about all the Mets that are probably going to be lost to free agency this year.
Right.
A lot of people may be Yankee fans. They're already planning for Soto to go to the Mets from the Yankees next year. Does the fact that the players were with the team for many years, and in many cases, their whole career, did that help develop more of a closeness between fan and team than what we see today?
Based on what I've seen, based on people I've talked to, absolutely, yes. You knew, as you said, that Sandy Koufax would be a Dodger, that Mickey Mantle would be a Dodger. Mets fans are
a Yankee.
I'm sorry, Yankee, but Mickey Mantle would be a Yankee.
Mickey Cochran might be a Dodger.
Right. You see that Pete Alonso, I think, is up for free agency.
Right.
Is that right? So what do Mets fans do? Do you want to trade Pete Alonso? Do you want to let him go? Do you want to take that money that you would give him, which would be immense, and develop players? Or do you give him a boatload of cash and keep him so he's a Met for life? Derek Jeter was a Met for life. A lot of Yankee fans are listening, and a lot of Yankee fans remember Reggie Jackson coming to the Yankees. 3 home runs in the 1977 World Series in one game. 3 home runs in one game. The Reggie bar, the Panasonic ads, the Panasonic billboard that hovered above the helix at Lincoln Tunnel. Reggie Jackson went into the Hall of Fame as a Yankee. 5 years as a Yankee. 10 years with the A's. But we remember him primarily as a Yankee for those achievements. Now, let's remember, 2 World Series rings with the Yankees, 3 World Series rings with the A's. Still, we remember him as a Yankee. We would not have gotten him without free agency. So there are 2 sides to that coin. If it's your team that's getting the All-Star, then it's great. If it's another team that's getting your All-Star, not so great. A lot of fans remember Tom Seaver. Well, Tom Seaver demanded to be traded because Dick Young said some not so nice things about Tom Seaver's wife, and there were some contract negotiations that weren't going well. We remember Tom Seaver as a Met, but he also played for Cincinnati. He played for Chicago, the White Sox, played for Boston. Free agency has been definitely a pro and a con for baseball because I think you're quite right. We lose that emotional tie to a team, and as Jerry Seinfeld pointed out once, at some point you're rooting for laundry.
Clothes. Yeah, exactly.
You're rooting for the uniform.
Yeah, that's why, and I do feel that way. And you know, I was rooting against this guy last year. This year I'm rooting for him, and sometimes you do feel silly. Maybe I should spend my time doing something else rather than spend 3 hours watching a bunch of millionaires that are going to be on different teams next year. Yeah, I understand that. I understand that. All right, let's talk a little bit more about the history of the Yankees and Dodgers. Their most recent meeting was in 1981.
1981.
The Dodgers won that one. By the way, of the I think you said there's 11 meetings that the Dodgers and the Yankees have had. How has their matchups? What's their win-loss record between one another?
It's mostly the Yankees. The Dodgers won in 55. Their only World Series in Brooklyn. They moved to L.A. after the 57 season. They sweep the Yankees in 63. And then in 81, which you'll recall was a strike-shortened season. We did not play a full season that year. Fernando Mania. We just lost Fernando Valenzuela.
That's what I was just going to ask you about. Yeah.
I remember being 14 years old and staying up late on Friday nights to watch Johnny Carson for the first time. And I distinctly remember in his monologues in The Tonight Show referencing Fernando Mania several times. Fernando won Game 5 by a score of 5-4. That was a terrific season for this pitcher. Led the National League in games started, 25, 11 complete games. Regular season 13-7. Who knows what he would have accomplished if he pitched a full season? Wins the Cy Young, 180 strikeouts. Again, shortened season, 8 shutouts. Both stats lead the major leagues.
Wow. So Fernando Valenzuela obviously gone far too soon, only 63 years of age. I'm sure there's going to be some sort of remembrance to him, some
absolutely.
sort of tribute.
Yeah, and the same thing happened, a similar thing happened in 1978 when the Dodgers and Yankees met. When the Dodgers and Yankees met in that World Series, we lost Jim Gilliam, who was a beloved Dodger. He was a coach. He had been a player in the organization, and he had passed away before that World Series. So it's kind of eerie. History might not repeat, but it rhymes.
By the way, the Yankees are home. They have home field advantage first, right?
I believe so, yeah.
In terms of that one world championship that the Dodgers won when they were in Brooklyn in 1955, their only World Series in Brooklyn, how big of a deal was that for Brooklyn and for New York?
Huge, because they had lost all the time. And not the Yankees didn't steamroll. I mean, in 52 it was 7 games. In 53 it was 6 games. 1955, Johnny Padres, a very young pitcher, complete game, pitches a 3-hitter, and there's that famous film clip of Yogi Berra, I believe, hitting a fly ball, and it looks like it's going to drop fair towards the left field foul line, and Sandy Amoros makes a sprinting catch, fires the ball to Pee Wee Reese, who doubles off Gil McDougald, who was already, heading for third, because that ball looked like it was definitely going to fall fair. Sandy Amoros was way towards center field. No one thought he was going to make it. It's like he had a rocket strapped to his back. It was huge for Brooklyn to win that game, and huge for them to win that World Series.
All right, 1956, a year later, the next year after the Dodgers beat the Yankees, we have Don Larson pitching a perfect game to this day, the only perfect game that's ever been pitched in the World Series. That's a pretty significant thing in baseball history, isn't it?
It is tremendously significant, and especially considering Don Larson is probably one of the least likely pitchers you would think would pitch a perfect game. He wasn't a standout pitcher, but the gods were with him. The Dodgers were resilient in that World Series. They won the first 2 games, and then they lost the next 3. They won Game 6 in the 10th inning, 1-0, and then, of course, the Yankees go on to win Game 7. But Larson pitching that perfect game is one of the accomplishments that I don't think will ever happen again.
Fellas, you know Degree Cool Rush deodorant, right? Well, last year they changed the formula, and guys were mad about it. One dude even started a petition. So guess what? Degree heard us, admitted they messed up, and brought the original Cool Rush scent back exactly how it was. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So grab some and remember why its cool, crisp, and fresh scent made it the #1 men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory for all of us.
Home means something different to everyone. But with Rocket Mortgage, home can mean even more. It can mean a college education, taming your high-interest debt, even a renovation. We've made it easier than ever to use your home equity. That home you worked so hard for, now it can work hard for you. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to find out more.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Psst, healthcare pros, word's out, and it's too good to keep quiet. Look, LinkedIn is revolutionizing job hunting, making it possible to search by specialty, shift preference, and salary. Endless scrolling is out. Whether it's a mental health therapist or dental hygienist, Finding the perfect role is faster and easier than ever. Head to linkedin.com/healthcare and start your search today.
Morning decisions. A creamy mocha frappuccino drink? A sweet vanilla? Maybe a smooth caramel? Or that white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Start your day with bottled Starbucks Frappuccino drinks. Pick up a bottle near you wherever you buy your groceries.
The Dodgers moved to Los Angeles. Obviously, it broke the hearts of a lot of Brooklynites. Have they developed over the last, 65, 66 years, the same sort of rabidly loyal fan base on the West Coast that they used to have on the East Coast?
Absolutely. It was almost immediate, but you didn't have the sense that you had, and this happened in a lot of cities because people moved to the suburbs. You didn't have that sense of community that Brooklyn had. When people could walk to the deli, could walk to school, could walk to the bar, could walk to the dry cleaners, and talk to the people about the game, odds are someone had been to the game. But you don't have that anymore because people had suburban sprawl. You had places like Levittown, which spearheaded suburbia, and people moved out of the cities. There was something lost, but the Dodgers fan base is tremendously strong, and a lot of that is due to somebody we lost recently, Vince Scully. I mean, he was the voice of Dodger Nation for decades. And losing that continuity really struck an emotional blow for Dodger fans.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. He was obviously loved by the Brooklyn Dodgers fans when he was here as well. So really just one of the great radio voices, period, of all time, having even beyond sports. The interesting aspect of those 77 and 1978 World Series you alluded to with Reggie Jackson, the 3 home runs in one game, the Mr. October status. What did those World Series, the Dodgers-Yankees World Series and Reggie Jackson's contributions do to Reggie Jackson's place in the pantheon of Yankee legends when it comes to how Yankee fans view him?
Oh, my gosh. Great question. I edited a book called The New York Yankees in Popular Culture, and my good friend Paul Hensler wrote an essay about this. Reggie became an icon in New York. He was a star in Oakland. He was a star in every ballpark he appeared in. People knew who he was. He was a tremendous force. But when you come to New York, as you know, it's different. New York is the head of advertising, finance, media, entertainment, and he became an absolute icon, especially because of that dramatic year. There's a great book called Ladies and Gentlemen, The Bronx is Burning. It later became a miniseries, and it recounts that season, the drama that took place with Steinbrenner, with Jackson, with Martin, and Reggie being here, getting that Panasonic deal, hitting the 3 home runs in one game in 1977, and then the Yankees repeating in 1978. There was nothing like it. There was such an energy about that time in this area, and you really got a sense of history because every newscast during the World Series would mention the 1950s matchups, and you would likely have people from those teams at the ball game or being interviewed, and they would be showing film clips. So as a kid growing up in northern New Jersey, I got a great sense of the history from that time, and also from my father, who had followed the Dodgers when he was growing up during the 50s.
So this gap from 1981 until now, this is the longest stretch we've ever seen with no Yankee and Dodger World Series matchups. Right.
But I do think that's because of expansion, because of free agency, and yet you will have a terrific number of people tuning in. You have the top 2 media markets in the country. It's not like the Mariners playing the Marlins. Okay, Seattle and South Florida, great regions, great cities there, but New York and L.A. will draw more. It's just a matter of numbers. So I'm sure Fox is satisfied. I'm sure MLB is satisfied. And again, it's a chance for Fox to talk about the things that we're talking about, the nostalgia, Fernando Valenzuela, Mickey Mantle, Jackie Robinson. I'm sure you will see film clips of those people.
All right. Hank in New Jersey has a question for you, David. Hi, Hank.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm sorry, Frank. I was my wheelchair in.
Okay.
I got stuck.
Sure. What's your question, Hank?
I grew up in Brooklyn as a Yankee fan, so I went through a lot of hell back in those days. But from 1949 to 62, 3, 4, I always thought the Yankees was obligated to be in the World Series. Now, I have a question, or trivia question. I've been putting this together for a while. What players who have won a World Series with a certain team and then got traded, free agency, etc., and wound up on the second team also winning the World Series? I'll give you a hint. The first one is Reggie Jackson. Can you give me another one?
Well, I'm not sure I even understand the premise of the question, Hank. So it's not necessarily Yankees and Dodgers. It's anyone that was on one World Series team that won the World Series and then got traded to another World Series winning team?
That is correct. Only a winning team.
Gotcha.
Only a winning team.
So, and how many players are there?
I came up with 2. Reggie Jackson with the Oakland A's and the Yankees.
But he wasn't traded. He signed due to free agency, didn't he?
Yeah.
Whatever. I said whatever.
Oh, okay. I mean, well, obviously the 2 that come to mind for me as a Met fan are most immediately are Doc Gooden and Darryl Strawberry.
I'm going to pipe in with Don Gullett because he won with the 76 Reds, and then Mr. Steinbrenner signed him for the 77 Yankees.
Good.
That's another good one.
The other one was Catfish Hunter.
Yeah,
right.
There you go. Hank, thank you, my friend. Glad you're doing well. Appreciate you calling. David, I'm going to have to end it there. Who are you predicting in terms of the victor of the World Series ultimately?
I cannot make a prediction, Frank. I knew you were going to ask that, and I was researching. I mean, the Yankees are favored. They're both great teams, and they have great players. I think either one, it's good for baseball. Maybe it starts a new rivalry. Maybe we see the Yankees and Dodgers pair up again next year and the year after that. But both great organizations with tremendous history behind them. And hopefully, as you alluded to before, baseball is declining in terms of popularity. Maybe this revives a little bit. Maybe there's a jump start here.
All right. David Krell, you can check out his books on both the Dodgers and Yankees. One is Our Bums. The other is The New York Yankees and Popular Culture. That's a series of critical essays that was edited by David. Get them both at davidkrell.com. Thanks, David.
Thank you. Take care.
Have a good weekend. Comments, questions, thoughts, 646-720-0635, 646-720-0635. Straight ahead.